This is hard. This is a proper launch. And it shows how confident Husqvarna are in the product. Because I have never ridden for so long this hard off-road on a launch before. Not in 25 years of doing this job. This is epic.
So Chad, this was, looking at the pictures and the video content, like a really special launch.
Yeah, incredibly special. I mean, we did the standard Norden, which was in the Azores.
Well, that was special.
That was special. So for this one, they had to go one step further.
Okay.
So starters off, it was in Cape Town, so flew into Cape Town. And the big thing that they wanted to do was to experience it as a travel bike. So the soft luggage comes standard.
Okay.
So when we arrived, they basically introduced us to the bike, like we did, and then they said, right, pack the bikes. Because you're going, you're not staying here. We were like, oh, where we're staying? You're camping. So
you had tents?
No, so the tents were already set up, but you had to take your wash bag, your clothes, your spare boots, your kit, your waterproofs.
Class.
So rather than going for a ride like we normally do and come back to the same spot. 200. It was for day one, 300 kilometres out.
300 kilometres?
Yeah.
Was it?
80% off-road.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow, so that's a lot of riding.
Yeah. And it was like, if you've forgotten something, unlucky. You know what I mean? So we, camel packs, because it was 30 degrees, different, so I had the real lightweight gloves on, all my stuff from Knox, all lightweight stuff on.
Perfect gear.
It was really good, to be fair, and I had the shorts on underneath. And then obviously in the saddlebags you had your wash bag, your cameras, spare clothes, because in the evening you had, you needed your kit and then pants and socks and everything. So you actually got to try the luggage, clip the luggage, put the luggage in, see if it was waterproof, and then that was the whole thing. There was so it was day one, 300k, and straight in, and I would say about 8% off road, straight into the dust and off you go. So the first bit was really because you kind of left, and we were not too far from Cape Town, and it was a nice smooth road. And then we just went left through into this dust trail, and then we did, I think I timed it, just over an hour of just dust.
Was it?
And it was averaging, kind of doing 90 to 110 kilometres an hour, so 60 mile an hour.
Wow. What, we just dusted
Just stood up on the pegs going, in top gear, back down to fifth, back to top. And you had to leave massive gaps because of the dust trails. But it was just, but then you'd be out in the middle, and then you'd stop, and we're just going, yeah, we are proper out in the middle of nowhere now.
Doing adventure.
Doing what the bike was designed to do, which is the great thing that Husqvarna did, is they went, this is the expedition, it's designed to be a global bike, and it's designed to carry luggage and do this and do this and do this. So that's what we're going to go do.
Class. Oh, sand, I hate sand. Oh, deep sand. Chose the wrong path there. Oh, we got sand. I hate sand. Did I mention that? Oh, balls. Get back on this seat. I hate sand. Oh, just fucking sand. I hate sand.
I'm led to believe anyway that South Africa has got quite a lot of trails.
Yeah,
you can ride
just forever.
Almost it.
Yeah, so we did literally everything. So we did places where you just sat at say 60 mile an hour, 70 miles an hour, and it's really wide open kind of plains that you can see for ages. Only really kind of dusty, gravelly. Don't really need to stand up in the pegs. You could sit down and just go. This went forever. And then you go into real rocky stuff, sandy stuff, water, deep water crossings. We did everything. So, but it was all controlled. So you do a section, then you'd stop and they go, right, next section is we're going to climb this, ravine, and it was like a drive river with proper rocks in it.
Was it?
Yeah, and they're first, get it into second gear, get up on the pegs, and it's going to take you about 40 minutes. And you were like, Jesus. Like day 2, like over this rocky section, like everybody, it looked like somebody being cow pushing. You know, they were just like bikes laid. And then once
did it?
Yeah, and then once you fall, I mean, you're really good off. Once you stopped, you couldn't get going again.
No.
You know,
because
you got, like,
it's momentum, innit?
Yeah. And we were smashing rocks. I mean, smashing it. I mean, I think I dropped it about 7 or 8 times on day 1, and maybe 9 or 10 times on day 2.
I followed off upside down in a hedge. Now I'm trying to get through all this deep sand. Oh. Well, it would be an expedition. Oh, you fucker.
Bearing in mind, every time you drop it, you go, that's got me Lynx Africa in that. You know, that's got me socks and me pants in it.
Well, you took the right links.
Yeah. But and same, we went through deep water, and as you went through the deep water...
No Java.
No Java. But you go through deep water going, this is mint, and then you're like, oh God. No. But they were all dry.
Yeah, class.
You know, so they're saying, well, our luggage will do this, or our bike will do this. And
well, I've got some of the Husqvarna luggage actually, and you know, it's top-notch stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, we did.
And I don't know whether it's the same stuff what you get, but it's like a sort of triangle type shape.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
The only criticism of, I mean, the luggage is standard on the right. It's soft luggage and it flaps about.
Right.
So if you see it in the slow-mo, if we put some on, it looks like, you know when you see like you've been framed or something like that, as a dog running with ears?
Right.
you know, like kind of like
yeah.
So like if you're going along and you'd be following somebody and they'd go over like, you know, a little jump and the luggage would go, rah, rah. So yeah, be careful what's in your luggage. You don't want to put an iPad in there.
No. But on the flip side, sometimes you don't always want to go with hard luggage either, do you? Because have you seen that video? Maybe we can put it in, of that guy.
The French guy.
When he's riding along the side of a...
in a harbour.
In a harbour.
Yeah.
Clips his side pannier and ends up right in the drink.
And obviously when you go for a wee in the night, because you tend to have a toilet and you're in Africa.
I'd be looking at my shoulders.
your head talked, you were like... But it just led to the whole thing, and then we had a few beers, big fire, talked about stories, who crashed the most, who fell off the most. And then the next day, loaded all the equipment, you know, back together. I mean, my kit was covered in, you know, dust and goggles, filthy. And then another, I think it was 260 kilometres the next day.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so it was a proper test of what they say the bike can do. And as I say, it varied from, there was one section of motorway where I wanted to test the stability, because on those type of bikes, stability can be, so 200 kilometres an hour, you know, tested the stability. Cruise control on the dual carriageway, and then heavy rocks, big rocks, jumps, gravel, big altitude changes, temperature changes. Sometimes it was 37, 38 degrees, sometimes it was 12. So it did everything that they said it could do. And the bike at the end, they didn't like clean the bike after day 1 or hand it. I'll give it to loads of engineers to check it over.
Sure.
You know, it was still my bike.
It was what it was.
Yeah, luggage still a bit torn and scuffed. Stitching a little bit out the way where I'd whacked it against a rock. You know, handguard still battered, but no levers broke, no handguards broke. Everything just carried on as it would do or should do on that type of bike.
So we've done, I think, about 250k, and I am beat 239k, mainly all off-road. I've been on my ass about 5 times, I think, and that is one bulletproof, battered bike. More again tomorrow.
I take the gloves of Tyson. Look. Okay. If something is shining, they're hitting. Look the tendons and from the feet.
Well, so I guess first question is, if that's been the intro, is like that Norden 901. Obviously, we were both there on the launch of that, and we had an epic time there as well. But you know, I left that test very much feeling like that standard Norden 901 is mustard. I love that bike.
Yeah.
And we had such a good time riding it on, you know, epic scenery, awesome roads, and very good off-road as well. So it's, when I originally saw the Expedition model, I thought, well, why do you need that?
Yeah.
So what is the big differences?
So so in the KTM world, you've got the KTM 890 and you have the 890R, and the Norden fit in the middle, if you remember.
Yeah.
So now what they've done is kind of brought the Norden closer to the 890R. So you've got more ground clearance, slightly longer travel suspension than the Norden, but not as extreme as the 890R.
Okay.
And then because it's Expedition ready, you've got big screen, heated seat, heated grips.
Heated seats?
Heated seat, heated grip, you've got the luggage, big bash plate, longer travel suspension, and then you've got different rider modes that were optional on that Norden and now standard.
Okay.
So it's basically like taking that Norden and going, right, you want to go around the world or you want to go to Africa, this is the bike you can take on Africa and it's all ready for you. So you remember the screen?
And that's all included?
All included. So you remember the standard Norden had quite a small screen? This has got a big screen on it.
Right.
You know, this has got the luggage on it, this has got a bash plate on it, it's got longer travel suspension on it. So it's more off-road orientated, but it's not an extreme like the KTM 890R, you know, which is really tall.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, okay.
So the power is the same.
Okay.
Frame is the same, fuel tank the same. Those kind of, you know, the clock, you get on it and you go, oh yeah, you know, the Norden single headlight, different graphics, a little bit of different styling, but everything else is, right, so you want to take on Africa, this is the bike you need. We've already put a bash plate on it, we've already put luggage on it, we've already put
the extra electronics.
the extra electronics, off you go.
Yeah, well, I think the initial thought is, because I looked at how much it is and it's like 13.5 grand,
Yeah,
I think.
13 and a bit, yeah.
And the standard Norden is like 12.5.
Yeah.
And I was like looking at that, okay, extra suspension, luggage, bash plate, electronics.
Heated seat,
Heated
grip,
seat.
big screen, GPS bracket, you know, for
Yeah.
that's already, so all the things that you would go,
Dare I say value for money?
it makes it more value for money if you, only makes it more value for money if you want to do that.
Yeah.
So if you're never going to go do those kind of things.
No,
then,
but like if you were to opt for those things,
Yeah,
above the
if you were gonna
standard
tick the
Norden, I mean,
boxes.
that would cost you like way more than £1,000.
way more, yeah. So it's like buying a package and everything comes with it. And I say you've got all those little bits where you go, oh yeah, I need the GPS bracket. Oh yeah, I need that. And I
Yeah.
think off the top of my head, it's 3 or 4 tyre choices.
Is it?
Yeah, so depending on how off-road
Wow.
you want to go.
What, that you can get from your
So
dealer?
so when you go buy it,
Yeah.
we were running the STR Pirellis, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
But you can go more extreme off-road or more road.
I really like the look of it. I think it looks class, and I think, you know, would you put the Norden in a bit more of a niche in the adventure? You know, it's not as popular as your Teneres and stuff. You wouldn't see as many of them on the road of Norden, would you?
No.
And then I thought, seeing this Expedition, it would be even more niche, but actually, you only start to figure out when you see stuff on the road. And do you know what? I've seen a few of these Expeditions now.
Have you?
Yeah, there's one in town here.
Yeah.
And then I saw somewhere else as well.
But where we are here in the lakes, it kind of,
Yeah.
it makes sense. And,
Yeah.
and the competition is the KTM 890, the 890R, obviously, because it fits in that middle. To me, the Norden's more attractive and more cool.
Yeah, I think it is too.
And then the other one is the Africa Twin, 'cause it's pretty similar, around 100 horsepower, pretty similar weight to the Africa Twin. Obviously, Africa Twin, Africa,
Yeah,
you were in
yeah.
Africa, there's so many similarities. But as good as the Africa Twin is, I still think the Norden's just got that little, it's like a little club of, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's not, I can't think of another manufacturer, maybe KTM or Gas, who would just go, right, this is our new model, you're going to smash it.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to give you an expedition that is nearly 600 kilometers in blistering heat, in all terrain, and we're going to try and, like, I was like blistered, you know, when you get on the plane on the way home, we were battered. You know, you're like,
you slept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like you get on the plane, 11 hours, back from Cape Town, you sleep.
Oh, you've had a proper adventure.
Yeah,
That's
but
class.
that's the great thing is they've gone, right, we've built this for an adventure, we're going to take you on an adventure, and there was none of this red carpet, none of this, can we help you with this?
No.
It was like, at the end of the day, you got past the cold beer and you had to open it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you dropped your bike, you picked it up.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, the bike wasn't taken away and a new one was brought out of a van. Because the next morning I left some stuff in my luggage to make sure I had the same bike and nobody had done anything. Still scuffed.
Well, they're very confident, aren't they, as a brand? You know, that KTM group. They're confident in the bikes that they're producing, and they're happy. You know, when you go on a launch with that company, you know, they're going to help you put that bike through its paces in the right in the right place. And you know, just to compare that, and when I saw some of the footage of the V-Strom 1050 and stuff, I think you know, it's quite opposite. You know, you put them on some roads, little gravel track to get.
That was essentially what it was.
But this is totally polar opposite, really.
Completely polar opposite, and the level of riding, like some of the guys were, you know, they'd race Baja, they'd race Dakar.
But the guys who were showing you.
And some of the Aussie journos and some of the other American journos, they were like, you know, I'm going through a section second, third, stood up, and they were like fifth, bang. They were hitting it. Do you know what I mean? They were absolutely smashing it, you know.
Class. So it crashed well?
Crashed very well. I only had low speed ones, maybe. Like I went over the bars once and ended up in a bit of a ditch. So all the crashes were kind of like, you know, like the ones you do when you ride off road with your mate.
Yeah,
the laughter ones.
Yeah.
You know, nobody got injured, not in our group, I think. You know, nothing more than a bit of a, you know, like the next day we're all like going for breakfast, look like we're all old men, you know. Like,
stiff back.
Yeah, stiff back, few bruises, you know, maybe a bit of a hangover.
Yeah.
But there was nothing like, there was no big crashes. Because when you're going fast over there, a lot of the roads are just dust trails.
Okay.
You just got to be a bit aware.
Oh yeah.
Few moments through potholes. That was the only kind of, because you can be in a dust cloud and you don't see what's coming.
No.
And the forks, we played around with the suspension. The forks feel a little bit soft when you hit those potholes like really hard.
Okay.
Which caused the bars to just give it a little.
Kick.
Not a tank slap where you go dang, 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 just a little whack, whack. And you're like,
yeah.
Whoa. You know, that woke me up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so quite a lot of people played around with the suspension because we had, depending on what you put in your luggage, you know, you're adding another 25 kilograms to the back of the bike, aren't you?
Yeah.
And depending on how you ride, so some people were riding stood up, some were sat down, some were sat far back, some were going through sections in fourth and fifth where some were just going, you know, wobbling through in first and second. So. But the suspension's all manually adjustable.
And did you, or were they able to adjust it within that parameter to get it working?
Yeah.
So you think it's good? It's a good setup.
Yeah. There's just KTM, Husqvarna, and Gas have all got that quality WP suspension. Yeah. So it's dead easy to adjust, dead easy to play with. I went a little bit stiffer on mine.
Okay.
But the problems that I had with the bars twitching was more me. It was more rider, so you'd be in a bit of a dust cloud, or you'd see some, you wouldn't see it, so the front would go down a big pothole, and there'd be another 4 or 5, and you'd close the throttle because you're like, oh Jesus, what's that? And then you're loading the forks at you even more, and then it got bang bang, and you'd be like, all right, off, you know, back onto gas, and it sort itself out, you know, a bit like sand, you know, you come to the sand and you're not too sure, and then all of a sudden the sand would go from quite big rocky to small gravelly, and it like you get that ploughing.
Yeah,
and then you're like, right, you need to gas it, you know. So it was never an issue with the bike. It was more you had to ride to the conditions. And the bike is a little bit heavier than the bike that we rode because you have the bash plate, the big screen, the luggage, and etc.
Touching on the weight, they hold their weight pretty well,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah.
You know, that derivative of bike. This is the same?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's over 200 kilograms.
Right.
It's pretty similar, I think, on paper to an Africa Twin, which I think does feel heavier.
Because it's got the weight slightly higher up.
Yeah. This doesn't feel as heavy. But as I say, it was a little bit unfair because we must have had 20 kilograms of luggage strapped on the back. So I'd like to try it almost, you know, with a bit of...
Just as it is.
As it is, but then they were like, well, that's the whole idea, is we wanted you to load it up because, you know, in the real world, you don't have a car that travels with you unless you're Ewan McGregor and Charlie Bowman. You know, you do load it up, you do put your roll bag on the back, and you could change the suspension to suit. But it never felt overly heavy. It was just You know what it's like when you're riding off-road? It was like,
Well, they're just generally speaking, adventure bikes are more of a handful, aren't they? It's not an enduro bike.
no, it's not an
ultimately, is it?
enduro bike, but it's not Tiger GS. You know,
Sure.
it's not up at that end.
It's more suitable.
Yeah, you can pick it up by yourself.
Yeah.
And I said, just if I was going to repeat the journey, that's sometimes the question I go, right, if I was going to do that again, what would I have? And I go, well, maybe the KTM 890R, maybe, but no, I'd probably just use that bike again and do it
Would
again.
you?
Yeah.
I mean, I've crashed about 5 or 6 times now, and the Norden's not broken, it's not doing anything, it's just plodding through.
So summarise the Norden 901 expedition for us then, Chad.
For me, it sits just below the KTM 890R, above the standard Norden. Personally, I like the brand, I like the image, I like the look. Some people don't like that big, oogly kind of headlight, like when I put pictures on social media, but to me, I prefer it over the 2 KTMs. And if I was going to repeat that journey, that'd be the bike I'd choose.
Class.
Simple as.
So great bike, great trip.
Great bike, great trip. Just really, really happy that Husqvarna went, right, we've designed the bike to do this. It's rugged, it's robust, it's going to take on Africa, it's got luggage, it's got bash plate, it's got this.
Crack on.
Crack on.
Very good.
You know, we're not going to put a red carpet down, we're not going to babysit you. When you fall off, it's going to hurt. Crack on.
Brilliant. And that's how launches should be. Very good. Well, look, really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Check out all the gear that Chad was wearing on test and put to the test when he
Put
crashed.
several times.
Yeah, awesome. Check all that out. It'll be in the link in the description and we'll see you next time.